Hello and welcome to the program today. I'm Layo Olarinde in Lagos, Nigeria. We start with news that Belgium and the Democratic Republic of Congo are embroiled in a diplomatic row after a court in Kinshasa upheld a death sentence for a Belgian Congolese military expert. In an appeal case, the military court issued the verdict to Jean-Jacques Wando for allegedly orchestrating an abortive coup last year in Congo. The Belgian government announced the immediate recall of its ambassador to Kinshasa from consultations and also summoned the ambassador of Congo to Brussels to express its disappointment. A statement by the Belgian Foreign Ministry says elements presented during the hearings were weak and lacked credible evidence. Jean-Jacques Wando, a military expert working with the Congolese intelligence service, was one of 37 people sentenced to death over what the DRC's army says was a foiled coup attempt in May 2024. In a separate matter, thousands of demonstrators have gathered in Bukavu in the Democratic Republic of Congo as clashes continue between M23 militants and the army in the eastern city of Goma. The protesters marched through the streets with DRC flags, expressing displeasure that the DRC has been at war for over 30 years. President of the South Kivu Civil Society Coordination Office, Nene Bintu, has attributed the sharp deterioration of national security to the war, which she believes Rwanda and its allies imposed on Congo. She adds that the international community is also complicit in the war. The DRC cut ties with Rwanda on Saturday, claiming Kigali has sent troops over the border to assist M23 fighters, which is described as a declaration of war. Despite evidence from UN experts, Rwanda continues to deny backing the M23 rebels. Still on the DRC, the Undersecretary General for Peace Operations, Jean-Pierre Lacroix, describes the situation of unrest there as volatile and dangerous. During a press briefing at the UN headquarters, Mr. Lacroix expressed concern for the civilian population. He fears the risks for a broader humanitarian disaster are very high. Basic services have been severely disrupted, with water and electricity compromised and internet service cut since Monday. To ensure the safety of UN personnel, the mission in the country has begun evacuating staff from Goma city by air and road.
Well, what I can tell you, basically, the situation on the ground obviously remains volatile and dangerous on the civilian population in a region that is already massively affected and where the humanitarian challenges are daunting, and certainly the risk of a broader humanitarian disaster are very high. And of course, we also want to avoid risk of a broader war. The mission has begun temporarily relocating its personnel and their dependents from Goma over the weekend by air and road. The process is ongoing, with relocations continuing as I speak. Obviously, the safety and security of our personnel is and must be paramount. But parallel to that, of course, our colleagues from MONUSCO continue to deliver on their obligation to protect civilians to the best of their ability, and that includes disarmed combatants in conformity with international humanitarian law. And there are significant numbers of civilian and also disarmed combatants that are currently in various MONUSCO premises.
With close to 6.5 million displaced people in the country, including close to 3 million displaced people in North Kivu. So over one-third of the population of North Kivu is already displaced, and now this Goma crisis is unfolding. So the humanitarian situation in and around Goma is extremely, extremely worrying, with new threshold of violence and suffering reached today as active zones of combat have spread to all quarters of the city, all the neighborhoods of the city. Civilians are taking the brunt of the escalating hostilities. This morning, heavy artillery fire was directed at the city center.
And as the conflict in the DRC continues, the State Minister and Minister of Foreign Affairs, Therese Wagner, is calling for international accountability in addressing the ongoing conflict. During a press encounter at the UN headquarters, she expressed shock that one of the largest troop-contributing countries has been able to kill peacekeepers. Some peacekeepers from South Africa, Malawi, and Uruguay were killed in less than 24 hours in the conflict.
The withdrawal of MONUSCO was sequential, and it was not a mistake, because in the areas where MONUSCO withdrew, we have seen sustained peace, we have seen progress, and we have seen stability. The challenge that we find ourselves in right now is in areas where MONUSCO is still present. So this has nothing to do with MONUSCO's presence. This has something to do with the fact that a neighboring country, Rwanda, has been permitted by the international community, by its donors, by its partners, to wreak havoc in the DRC, in particular in North Kivu, even in the presence of United Nations peacekeeping troops, with one of the most robust mandates of the United Nations. What I say to troop-contributing countries, and this is very important because Rwanda itself is one of the UN's largest troop-contributing countries, is that this crisis is not a DRC-specific crisis. This should compel all troop-contributing countries to engage in a robust conversations with the United Nations, with DPKO, on what it means to be a troop-contributing countries. How is it permissible that a country, one of the largest troop-contributing countries, gets away with killing peacekeepers, as peacekeepers from South Africa, Malawi, Uruguay were killed in less than 24 hours. It is a tense situation. We are following and monitoring it closely. We are grateful for the support and the resilience of our own armed forces, but also the presence and the support of MONUSCO troops as well as SADC troops. I will not delve into speculations. I am confident in the resolve of all involved forces to uphold the territorial integrity of the DRC, and most importantly, to protect the civilian lives which are at stake right now. Now, when it comes to sanctions and to the absence thereof, more importantly, of course we're disappointed. Of course we're disappointed because as an African country, how often is it that we have to listen to the lessons, that we have to listen to what we ought to be doing, the rules we are to be following, and at the same time find ourselves in this edifice and see that the rules that we all consider to be holy, to be precious.
The President of Kenya, William Ruto, has described the conflict in the Democratic Republic of Congo as so complicated that diplomacy is the only way to peace. President Ruto, who was addressing reporters at a media briefing, was speaking just after M23 rebels captured the DRC's largest city, Goma. As chairman of the East African Community, President Ruto has called for an emergency meeting for member states on Wednesday. Rwanda's President Paul Kagame and Congo's President Felix Tshisekedi are expected to attend the meeting.
The situation in DRC, it is already very complicated. So the presence of security people from wherever place doesn't add any more complication. It is already too complicated. This is a situation that has festered for 30, 40 years. We do not see, from where I sit, a possibility of a military solution to the challenges that faced Eastern DRC. And I'm sure it will continue to be the case that engagement, dialogue, consultations is the only viable way out of the situation in DRC.
Away from the DRC, in other news in Kenya, an ambitious initiative to vaccinate all livestock is due to kick off this week amid fierce resistance from farmers. The resistance is driven by unfounded claims that the vaccines are being administered to control methane emissions. It will cost farmers nothing to get their animals vaccinated, as the government says it is footing the bill. The government's goal is to vaccinate at least 22 million cattle and 50 million goats and sheep over 3 years. Currently, only 10% of the national herd gets the necessary vaccinations, and the authorities say they want to raise that rate to 85% to make Kenya's livestock products eligible for export. The president, who is a farm owner and has several big herds himself, has said the vaccines are vital for expanding the sector by controlling foot and mouth disease in cattle and a disease known as sheep and goat plague. Prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, Karim Khan, is denouncing international crimes being committed in Darfur. Addressing the UN Security Council, he announced that his office is taking the necessary steps to put forward applications for warrants of arrest in relation to crimes committed in West Darfur in Sudan.
As we speak, international crimes are undoubtedly being committed in Darfur. They're being committed as we speak. And daily, unfortunately, we see crimes being used as a weapon of war for so many that the law is meant to protect from these types of excesses. That my office is taking the necessary steps to put forward applications for warrants of arrest in relation to crimes we allege are being committed and have been committed in West Darfur. And I think a simple message, Mr. President, should be understood by those on the ground in Al-Fasher, in Al Junaina and across Darfur. Now, better late than never. For goodness sake, comply with international humanitarian law. Not as a charity, not out of some political necessity, but out of the dictates of humanity and black letter law. Last month, I had the honor of appearing with the members of the Darfur Unified Team, presenting closing arguments before the trial chamber of the International Criminal Court in the case of Mr. Ali Muhammad Abdurrahman, also known as Mr. Ali Kushaib. And that trial means an awful lot. That trial focused on crimes allegedly committed between August 2003 and April 2004. And fast forward, one sees similar crimes being committed now. But for Darfuris, this trial means a lot.
Tanzanian students have attended a lecture as part of the Blockade Bread Memorial event to mark the 81st anniversary of the lifting of the siege of Leningrad in Dar es Salaam. They watched a documentary at one of the sites as part of the observance. The organizers traditionally provide visitors with a creative and educational program and hand out a symbol of the besieged northern capital, a 125-gram piece of black bread. The siege of Leningrad was one of the longest and most destructive in history, which estimates the number of casualties ranging from 600,000 to 1.5 million.
What can we learn from this kind of a story? It's like we have to understand that we have more right now. Whatever the challenges we are facing, whatever the step backs, whatever the problem we think we have on our shoulders, we have to realize that we have more. If we can have enough food, you can have your friends, connection, all that, you have more, and you can overcome them. Just like the way the people in St. Petersburg, or Leningrad, right at that moment they did. So it was a very great day, 27th of January. So, and it's interesting to study the cultures of other nations. So I enjoyed it a lot.
And I listened to the stories, when I listened, as a child, when I listened to the story of my great-grandmother, I felt like I want to preserve this memory of their explicit bravery and to tell this story to my own kids and to preserve this example for next generation.
They are given about 125 grams of beds so that to save their lives and to keep them to be strong. Also, so this has shown that the spirit of never giving up. So I can say, on other words, this time people don't give up. But so I've learned a lot so that people should not give up, but to keep on.
Nigeria's President Bola Tinubu is set to announce a dynamic compact initiative to help push the drive to provide more energy for the African continent. The Special Advisor on Public Communications and Orientation to President Tinubu, Sunday Dare, disclosed this on the sidelines of the ongoing Africa Heads of State Energy Summit taking place in Tanzania. The Special Advisor to the President on Energy, Oluvehin, who is also in Tanzania, outlined some of the plans of the federal government to ensure targeted energy subsidies to the poor and vulnerable in the society.
Second element of moving to cost-reflective tariff is making sure that we continue to have targeted subsidies to the poor and vulnerable, because the way we have them now, almost everybody, the more energy you consume, the more subsidies you get. That isn't the intention. Our intention is to make sure that the poor and vulnerable who have limited capacity to pay continue to enjoy support from the government. But we need to improve the targeting of that, but move the rest of the market who have capacity to pay into a cost-reflective tariff. We need to drive efficiencies in those distribution companies and in generation companies, and as well as in transmission end of the segment as well, to make sure that those cost-reflective tariffs are also cost-efficient, that you're paying what you should be paying, and that there is no inefficiencies in the way that we're delivering electricity to end users.
Foreign ministers of the Alliance of Sahel states have met in Ouagadougou, Burkina Faso to finalize their official exit strategy from the Economic Community of West African States, ECOWAS. Niger's Foreign Minister Bakary Sangare is not ruling out future engagements with ECOWAS, as he says the alliance will be available to cooperate with all the countries of the world beyond ECOWAS. The military leaders of Burkina Faso, Mali and Niger decided to withdraw their countries from ECOWAS in January 2024, accusing the body of being under the influence of foreign powers, betraying its founding principles and becoming a threat to its member states. The Sahel states are set to officially withdraw from the bloc on January 29. In South Africa, Statistics SA has unveiled the findings of its Income and Expenditure Survey, IES, a vital study offering a detailed look at South African spending patterns, income sources, and living conditions. The survey, conducted during the 2022-2023 period, plays a critical role in updating the Consumer Price Index (CPI) basket. Announcing the results, the Statistician General revealed that South African households recorded a total annual consumption expenditure of 3.03 trillion rands in 2023. However, he highlighted a concerning disparity. Female-headed households earned significantly less than their male counterparts.
Saying that the total annual household income in 2023 was sitting at 4.3 trillion. The average household income was sitting at 204,000, and of course the median was sitting at 95,770 rands. And when you use the median, it helps us to see where the bulk of those who are having income at household level are. So if you were to stretch from the one with the lowest household all the way to the one with the highest household, we would see that the ones with the lowest household are much more. And that is why when you use the median, you actually move away to get the middle point much more lower.
79 students from Somalia and 5 other countries have graduated from the University for Peace, UPeace, in Somalia, pledging to use their knowledge and skills to address the challenges facing the nations and the world. The event marked UPeace's 4th graduation ceremony in the Somali capital, Mogadishu. The ceremony honored 25 doctoral and 54 master's graduates, including 5 women, 3 doctoral and 2 master's graduates. In addition to Somalia, the graduates hailed from Burkina Faso, Cameroon, Ghana, United Kingdom, and the United States. Somalia's Prime Minister Hamza Barre, who attended the ceremony, announced that 60 new students would receive full scholarships for their master's programs at the institution.
Education is the main instrument for change. In our independent world, only cooperation and development based on culture of dialogue can resolve and prevent conflict, violence, and war. Education, respect for human rights, empowerment of women, tolerance, dialogue, mediation, and the promotion of universal values is founded on it. The UPeace will provide technical expertise and research support necessary to ensure that Somalia contribute to the UN Security Council leave endurable legacy. We hope that Somalia leadership will inspire future generations and security its place as a return member of the Security Council in the years to come.
We have been facing a lot of challenges, and actually studying is, the biggest mistake that society can make is ignoring education. That's a costly mistake. So I think that being educated will do much better and will change a lot of things in the country. It will develop all sectors, economically, politically, socially, and environmentally.
And in Ethiopia, at Addis Ababa, more than 1,000 couples are taking part in the traditional mass wedding ceremony known as Yeshish Gabicha, holding in the capital, Addis Ababa. Couples in traditional attire marched and danced, surrounded by family and friends at the Adwa Victory Memorial. This year, the event saw participation not only from various regions of Ethiopia, but also from 43 other African countries. Yeshish Gabicha, which means 1,000 marriage, aims to unite over 1,000 couples in a traditional Ethiopian ceremony. It is sponsored by Yament Private Limited and Ethiopia's state broadcaster, BBC.
Very happy for the opportunity of being here in Ethiopia for the Yeshish Gabicha, this multicultural wedding. The feeling is of happiness, and we are very thankful for the organization because they gave us the opportunity of being with people of another countries, people of another culture, and for us as a Pan-African couple, we are very happy for that.
This opportunity has been amazing for us. We have managed to see a lot of different people, a lot of different cultures from across Ethiopia and also across Africa. So I would like to encourage everyone to come in and join Yeshish Gabicha. Enjoy what Yeshish Gabicha has in store for us. there's a lot of things that we have learned from the counseling, from meeting different people, from eating different type of foods. It's just a diverse of culture which is here.
Well, wishing them a happy married life. That's it on the program for today. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Layo Olayandi.